What's going on, Amazon sellers? Welcome back to the weekly live news and Q&A show built just for you. I'm Chris Grant, along with my obstreperous co-host, Chris Rasick. And today, as always, we will chat a few pieces of news of interest to you. And, of course, we'll be taking your guys' questions relating to Amazon, online arbitrage, retail arbitrage, or wholesale. It will be a little bit of a shorter show this week because I've got a 6 o'clock to get to tonight. But make sure to drop your questions in the chat and we will get to those. But before we do, I want to talk about this week's sponsor. This week's sponsor is Boxum. That's boxum.com. And I actually want to share with you one of my favorite features. This may even sound a little bit silly, but when I pull up shipments inside of Boxum, I get to see a few things at a very quick glance. I get to see the shipment name, the type, the number of units, and the number of SKUs. But I also get to see the shipment's disposition. Is it shipped? Is it receiving? Is it closed? And then right next to that is my favorite little thing, and it's a little graph that tells me the percentage of the shipment that has been received. And I don't know, it makes me feel good. At least I kind of know where Amazon is at. And this way, within a second or two, I can look at my closed shipments and I can see what items or what shipments do I need to take the time and open up cases and try to get reimbursed. It's a small feature, but in my opinion, it's one that is really powerful and speeds up my ability to see where my attention needs to be rather than having to look through every single shipment inside of Seller Central. So do yourself a favor, check out Boxum over at cleartheshelf.com/Boxum Live. That's BOXEM Live. Or hit the link down in the video description and grab yourself a free trial for 14 days. All right, Chris, what's going on, man? How you doing?
Doing good. It's been a pretty good week. It feels like, and we've talked about some of these things, so you might feel this way too, but I feel like this past week I've gained a lot of knowledge on what big sellers are doing. I feel like I maybe pulled back a rung of the curtain a little bit. Like some stuff just kind of made sense, and it's like, oh, okay. Did you get that sense at all this past week?
Yeah, I know what you're saying. And you know what's crazy? Here's the thing that really kind of like breaks your frame a little bit. It's not really anything different than we've talked about over 60 some podcast episodes and the things that we've done here. We know these things, and I know what you're talking about. We've gone back and forth and shared some things, and it's just like, oh, well, we've talked about this. We've interviewed people about this, but here's the evidence of it happening right in front of our face. And it's like, okay. And it makes you, and it kind of makes you shift what you're going to do to be able to get to the level that these people obviously are on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's not, we make it seem far more mysterious. I've been saying that a lot on a lot of our content recently, but it's true. And I know I personally, I'm one of those people that, I can learn something. You can teach me the steps and everything like that, but it's a whole different level once you actually see the evidence of it. That's something really clicks in for me. I know, and certain people, can just take the steps and run with it. And, but I'm not that type of person, but it helps. And it was kind of mind blowing.
Yeah. And I absolutely agree.
And just an aside, Luke, you're going to open up a can of worms that you're not going to be happy that are open. Because I guarantee you, I can show you a list of chemicals without telling you what the product was. And you would go, see, look at all that. And it would be the chemicals in an apple. Everything is chemicals. Organic food is bullshit. Clean eating is completely made up bullshit marketing. All the stuff, anything you think you know about the chemicals in sugar-free stuff has all been debunked. And if you listen to that Bobby guy the Bobby approved guy, please don't admit that to me, because that will be an obstacle that we never get past.
Yeah, I will have to say I do agree with you on a lot of that stuff. I think there's something to be said about eating more whole foods in our life, of course. But the the whole sugar-free soda, zero sugar soda is gonna kill you, is way overblown. There is one person I think sugar-free soda will kill. I saw a video of him. He drinks like 450 ounces of Diet Dr. Pepper and stuff like that a day, and it's most likely not going to be the aspartame or whatever sweetener they use in Diet Dr. Pepper. It's most likely going to be like the 1,000 milligrams of caffeine he's intaking every single day, that blows a valve in his heart.
I like the study back in the 80s when they went all crazy on saccharin, and then you find out, and it was harder to come by then, but they find out that they pumped these mice with like 2 to 3 times their body weight full of saccharin, and went, oh my God, look at all the bad stuff that happened. It's like, yeah, no kidding. I pump me with 500 pounds of saccharin, and yeah, bad things are going to happen.
Right. All right, let's get to and guys, listen. I have a sugar problem also. I'm actually a fairly light eater, but I have some. I like sugar. I totally am with you guys. All right, let's get to some news. So there is big news out of the East Coast and the Gulf Coast, and it's not hurricane related. As of October 1st, approximately 45,000 longshore workers walked off the job. This effectively shut down 36 ports along the East and Gulf coasts. And this strike it's over wages, and it's over the use of automation in port operations. And it's the first of its kind of shutdown in nearly 50 years for these ports. Now, what does this mean? I actually went out to Grok, which is Twitter's AI, and I asked for it to summarize a bunch of the posts that have been on Twitter. I did have to wade through and get rid of some of the conspiracy theories that were out there, but there was some really good information in between. So, one, this is, of course, likely going to cause delays in goods getting to retailers. Matter of fact, the guy in charge of the union, I don't recall his name, but the guy who has famously said, "I will cripple you," which is just, I mean, what an absolute gangster. Whether or not you agree with him or not, what they're doing, that is, I mean, he knows he's got power, and he is being willing to wield that. But this, of course, is going to cause delays. Yeah.
In the interview, he didn't even bother to take off the gold chain or the Gucci glasses either. Like, that's
right.
That tells you how much leverage he knows he has.
Yeah, and he didn't hide the sale of his 62-foot yacht a couple of weeks ago very well either. Right. Now, some ships have already been sent to other ports that are open, because the West Coast is not closed. I don't believe that Florida is closed, but that, of course, is going to require quite a trip. And then we may see those ports get backed up, which can cause further issues. These are all things that we have already seen for those of us who've been selling on Amazon for, more than 3 to 4 years. We've already seen this movie. Okay. Now, if ports open back up quickly, it has been estimated by people on Twitter, and I heard this from a friend who actually has stuff at the port. It's estimated that each day the strike goes on, it could cause a 5 to 7 day delay in getting goods to their end destination. So if they only strike for 5 days, we could be looking at 5 weeks of delayed shipments to retailers. to car dealerships, to, I mean, Toyotathon is going to be an absolute mess this year. Um, some of the other things that you might see is you may see prices go up. Of course, if the supply goes down, prices tend to go up. So if you sell things like groceries, you may end up being affected with some higher cost of goods sold at the store. Or if you are working with wholesalers, you may end up seeing some higher costs there. Just the natural supply and demand log being in effect. Make sure that you're building those things into your prices. And of course, the longer this strike goes on, the more likely there's going to be a shortage of certain goods. While this may not be good for the general consumer, it may actually be quite an opportunity for us as Amazon sellers. Now, I would not go as far as inflating the price of toilet paper to crazy levels, but if the toys aren't coming off the trucks for Christmas and you happen to have a vein of hot toys this year, you may want to price in the shortages that may occur. This could be a pretty big potential for you if people are willing to shell out the big bucks to make sure their little Johnny or little Sally gets the unicorn doll that they absolutely want. You also may want to work your sourcing muscle a little bit harder and try to find some suppliers that are a little bit more off the beaten path, that people are not going and rushing down their doorsteps to buy stuff. I've already seen lines at Costco for people who are prone to hoard wrapped around the back of the store, which I haven't seen in probably 3 or 4 years. But I would, and last thing, I would make sure you are keeping your finger on the pulse of what's going on. This, to me, and I know that, people who are outside of what we do, they would hear this and they would say, well, that's just gross, and clutch their pearls. However, to me, this reeks of opportunity going into the busiest time of year and having a possible shortage on things like toys, and maybe some grocery items, giftable items. This could be very good for your pocketbooks as sellers.
Yeah, and advantage to the more seasoned sellers and new sellers that can adapt, because the seasoned sellers are going to all that buy and hold, like wait out the tank and stuff. That strategy that we've been forced to kind of abandon almost completely, just because of you just get pushed out and there's not enough time with the shortening long-term storage, and then this wave of 0% ROI mindset, got to pay my plum bill, sellers that are out there. It was a difficult strategy it was difficult to remain profitable with that strategy. So now, if there are any issues like this, all that it's going to come rushing back. It'll be like riding a bike, and if you can have the discipline, to wait out, depending on how this goes, it could be really profitable for sellers with a little bit of foresight, a little bit of vision on how it's going to play out in the near term.
Absolutely. Now, we could talk about, how do you fix this? And I mean, I don't know if we're necessarily, I'm an armchair expert in just about anything I put my mind to. But I don't know what the fix is here. I have tried to look at content from both sides, those who are very pro union, and those who are, a lot less pro union or anti union. I've also seen videos of the way that they do things like in China, and all the automation that is over there, and it is absolutely insane to see what they do over there. And so, I don't know. These guys, I think, have got the ports exactly where they want them, and I think they're going to have to give in unless they invoked the Taft-Hartley Act, which the guy in charge already said, go ahead, we'll just we'll work really, really slow, and it'll still hurt.
Yeah,
So this
and
is going
that's
to be
only 90
very,
days.
yeah, it's only 90 days. Yeah. It's going to be very interesting to see how this plays out.
Yeah, I don't. I'm not going to speak about it because I don't know the political slants, right? And I'll end up saying something that one side's going to be like, "Oh, you do," and then in the next sentence I might say something else that the other side is like, "Oh, how dare you?" So I don't know how that whole thing works. But I did the same. I looked at both sides, and both sides have some valid points.
Mm-hmm.
One side has very bad optics. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
that it kind of may sway some people, but yeah, I don't know. It'll be interesting. That's for sure.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Flamingo, the act is the Taft-Hartley Act. It's TAFT Hartley Act. Biden says he was, I think he said that he was not going to invoke that. But I mean, that can obviously change it at any moment, depending on how things go. But I'm gonna be honest with you, these kind of things, they are my soap opera. At night, instead of flipping on the stories, like I'm going to be glued to Twitter and the Wall Street Journal and things like that. Seeing what the newest news is about this, because it's fascinating to me.
Now, if you had to choose, you've got breaking news on the longshoreman strike versus a brand new, highly rated 10-part beaver documentary. Which one are you going with?
That would be rough. Am I allowed to double screen it and watch the Beaver documentary on the TV and read the Twitter feed on my phone? Is that okay?
Good entrepreneurs know how to adapt. We've been saying it for a long time.
That's right.
All right, I'll take it.
All right. The next piece of news, and this will be the last piece of news for today, and we'll start answering some questions, is on Monday. A federal judge ruled that the FTC's lawsuit against Amazon may proceed. All right. We've been waiting for this news for quite some time, to be quite honest. Now, the judge, Judge Chun is his name, he has stripped out some of the allegations that were brought by states that joined the FTC's lawsuits. And Amazon's motion to dismiss the lawsuit in full was, of course, denied. Now, the unfortunate part is the order from the judge is under seal. So we don't know yet what parts will be taken to trial. That has been set for October of 2026. I mean, come on, guys. Like should not go out this long. But I also understand that both the FTC and Amazon are probably flooding each other with paperwork and evidence to try to bog each other down. But so we don't know what parts have been stripped out yet. Now, the good news is that the seal on the order is set to expire in 2 weeks. But during that time, both Amazon and the FTC can petition the judge to redact certain elements before unsealing the order to the public. Now, some of the claims that were dismissed were done so without prejudice. So what this means is that the FTC has until the end of the month, the end of October of 2024, to try and get amendments filed to bring some of those charges back into court. The lawsuit, if you don't remember, accuses Amazon of promoting its own brand over competitors, preventing third-party sellers from setting discounted prices, and forcing merchants to pay steep fees to Amazon itself, which I think every Amazon seller would probably agree with that last count. It's a good thing that Amazon sellers are not the judge, jury, and executioner in this case. For consumers, the FTC says that meant higher prices, fewer options, and a degraded shopping experience, to which I would say, I don't know about that. I think that's a little bit of a reach. The Washington Post did report that the central claims that Amazon violated federal antitrust and competition laws will move forward. How they got that information, I don't know. But the ruling on Monday also answered this one important question about how the case would proceed. Judge Chun, which is a mouthful, ordered the court to first address only Amazon's liability. So when they go to court, they're going to discuss only liability first. And then if the court finds Amazon is liable, then they will go back to court about possible remedies. Now, people have speculated for, well, this has been going on for years now, but people have speculated for quite some time. Those remedies could be maybe the marketplace is separated from Amazon first party. Maybe Amazon first party stops selling in total. Maybe the marketplace gets shut down. Let's throttle back a little bit on that one. It's not going to happen. But if Amazon cannot defend itself enough, then they'll figure out what is the remedy, and then they'll be held liable to do that. So we've got 2 weeks to see what's in the order, what Amazon is actually going to be going to court over. Unless they get a bunch of it redacted and we don't get to see it. But this is another thing. I'm going to be on pins and needles over being able to see this order from the judge.
Yeah. I have a sneaking suspicion that there's going to be a heck of a lot of redactions.
Yeah. I don't expect it to read easily. It's gonna be a mess.
Yeah. But the scheduling, I don't know if did the people that do lawsuit scheduling, are they the same people that work on road construction timeframes?
They're either the same people that work on road construction timeframe, or they're the same people who come up with the date for the next season of Yellowstone. I'm not sure which group it is.
Yeah, there's a new. Did you see the spinoff though? I think it's a Yellowstone spinoff, right?
I think there is yet another one. Yes.
Yeah, they were teasing one of them, and it looked pretty good.
Yeah. All right, let's answer some of your guys' questions. And I'll be honest with you, there was not a lot of news this week. I had to reach for some of these, but at least the first one was a pretty big piece of news. All right, let's take some of your guys' questions. So, Jerry, with Meltable season coming to an end on the 15th, how does Amazon expect Christmas candies to be sent and received by the 19th of October? I don't know if they're really worried about that, to be honest. I think it's more your problem than it is their problem. I would not expect to get candies off to Amazon by October the 19th. Now, saying that, I know that Amazon has said October the 19th is the cutoff, et cetera, and so on. They are going to accept shipments after that. If you shipped out your meltables on October 15th, I bet they would probably get there before Christmas, but it may not be until the end of December or the end of November or the 1st of December before they get there. But there would be an opportunity for them. But if you want to really take advantage, I would suggest that you gear up for merchant fulfilled shipping. It's going to be, we've said it until we're blue in the face. It is going to be a big, big deal this year.
And again, Christmas candy sells after the holiday. So
absolutely,
whenever they open their docks back up, that stuff does still sell.
Yeah. Imagine the Christmas or the candy canes that are gonna never see a full price sticker on them, and they're all going to go directly from a container to a clearance aisle. Those will sell in March, April, May of next year for a hefty little price.
Yep.
Kiki, will sending FBA using optimized shipments get my inventory checked in faster this Q4? I doubt it. I don't think that's going to be the case. I can't say for sure because I'm not Amazon's inbound. You can go ahead and take them. Yeah. I don't handle Amazon's inbound inventory. It's going to be slow one way or the other. But you're going to want to test what works better. Does it work better to send it to one or two places? Does it work better to do the Amazon optimized? I think it's a crapshoot. Sam, I see crazy price drops in many of the products that leave no profit, and I don't get buy box for months. And finally, after 4 months, I'm liquidating those items. That happens on occasion. It should not be happening most of the time, but it does happen sometimes, and for various reasons. You need to. So here's the way that I tell people they should source. Okay. You're trying to make an asymmetric bet. And that means that when you're sourcing, you want to have the profit there, of course. And over the past 3 months, 6 months, whatever it is, you want to see that the lowest price that's happened is maybe your break even. That way, if it hits that price, you're like, okay, well, I'll liquidate at break even. And now I'm playing this infinite game. Or maybe I have to lose a little bit, but I don't have to lose a ton. And that's a way to build in some protection for yourself. Tony's just here for Chris Rasick mustache updates. That'll start in a month.
Yep, it's getting close. I gotta start sharpening some razor blades.
Right. What is the color for? I happen. The background is, I know you said purple. It's supposed to be pink right now, but is there a color for Movember?
Not that I know of. All their marketing stuff is black and white mostly.
Okay.
It's kind of gross. Like here's my 2013 sticker that I just found. Yeah, so it's usually a black and white motif. So we wouldn't be able to see if you adopted those backgrounds.
Yeah, I better not do that. Vera, I'm disappointed with Box. I'm hardly ever get any live help on the chat, like pulling teeth. Any other software you can recommend that has 2D barcodes? I believe Scan Power has 2D barcodes. I can't say for sure whether Inventory Lab does or not. I'm not 100% sure. Then there's also 2D barcodes. I think that's the name of it. There's that as well. But I'm going to screenshot this and I'm going to send it over to them because I happen to know the guys who build it. So I'll give them a little feedback on your behalf. Let's see here. All right. So Oxa FBA, I believe is your name. So what should I say and do to attract clients? Please guide me a little as I'm a virtual assistant. So I appreciate this question. This is probably going to be tough, and I'm not really great at this. It's hard for me to tell you because I've never been someone's virtual assistant. But personally, if someone were going to reach out to me, I would, rather than just hearing, oh, I'm a virtual assistant, I would like a job, I would prefer that something was shown to me to show results first. Whether that, and it depends on what you're doing. Okay, if you're doing sourcing, that would be easy as saying, hey, I sourced for 8 hours today. Here are the leads I found. I'm going to give them to you, and if you would like me to source for you, I can give you this quality of lead every single day. If you do PPC or something like that, I would start building some case studies and getting those out to people, whether that's through social media, through tasteful cold DMs, not not something that is just a blast to every single person. Actually, do some research before you just blast 100 different people in their DMs. But whatever it is that you're offering, have some evidence to give people, not just, hey, I'm a VA. I want to work for you, because that typically doesn't work.
But it's certainly a numbers game,
Mhm.
it's a tough sell. I don't, especially if you're going through the DMs, because I think there are two scenarios where I would never buy something, and that would be somebody knocking on my front door unannounced and a cold DM. Like, it's just like, well, Chris, we talked about it. It's that asymmetrical information. It's asymmetrical selling. It's why we hate car salesmen, right? Because we assume they know more about, in fact, they do know more about the car. So that's the asymmetry, right? Is that they have far more information than we do. So it's a matter of building trust. We have to be able to trust them that they're going to give us all the information, because we're going to be sitting there waiting to try to figure out what they're holding back, right? Which is why people get so upset when something goes wrong, early in their ownership. That's upsetting, no matter who you got the car from. I get that, but that's why people immediately go, "Oh, I knew it. He sold me a lemon, or she sold me a lemon." Yes, it's tough. So it's about building trust, and that's great advice, Chris, that you gave, would be to offer something, and that's networking advice in general, right? I mean, that's when I looked into, anytime I've read about it, and it's you need to give more than you take, or you need to give a certain amount before you ask to take anything. I mean, that's the easy way to start establishing a relationship that will be beneficial on both sides.
Absolutely. Yeah, I 100% agree. Let's see, where were we here? Sorry, guys, I lost my space. There we are. Okay.
Luke
All
said Inventory Lab does do 2D. I thought they rolled that out recently.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, I need to pay better attention. Paulie, get that. What has been the biggest shift you made that gave a better work-life balance? With my smallest one in the mornings and after school for a bit, been transitioning from eBay to full Amazon over the past year. Had some health issues that set me back. Looking to full send with Amazon this Q4 into the new year. Well, Paulie, congratulations on shifting over, and I hope the health issues weren't anything too serious. But I'm going to be straight up with you. I'm not a believer in work-life balance. I maybe overall, maybe if you look at it over the course of a year, there is work-life balance. But I like to think of life in seasons instead. And it sounds like you're in the season of wanting to grow an Amazon business. And so there are going to have to be things that get put on the back burner. Now, I'm not saying don't take your kid to school and tell them to leave you alone while you're working. But there's going to need to be more time and effort put into what you want to build. And then there can be other seasons, and these seasons can be, a year at a time. They can be 3 months at a time. There can be other seasons where you step back a little bit and you allow things to be on autopilot for a bit, and you focus more on the other things that are important to you. But I don't know. I don't buy into this whole work-life balance thing. I'm just not sure that it works. And everyone that I've heard who is a modern day, entrepreneur influencer that I trust, not one that's just full of hustle culture. And every single book that I've read about founders, which is how I think that we need to act as entrepreneurs, we're not just Amazon sellers. We're entrepreneurs. We're founders of our business. they don't have the quote unquote work-life balance where they can go to every party that they're invited to, and they can, you know, I don't want you to miss your kid's basketball game or anything like that, but you're gonna have to say no to some things to make your dream work. Um, that's I think that may not be the advice you want to hear, but I think that's the best advice that I can offer.
And Paulie, I don't typically give marriage advice out for free, but I will offer this nugget. This is high demand information. If there is a significant other in the picture, if you keep them mad at you all the time, they will leave you alone and free up so much time to get work done. It'll change a lot of things for you. That one's on the house.
That was that was worth quite a bit. It's amazing what you guys get coming here on Wednesdays for free.
It's effective, 100%. It works every time.
Nisa, I have a question. I have capital to spend $5K to $10K for wholesale, but it's kind of hard to deal with suppliers. What do you guys recommend? Should I do OA with $5K? So, I mean, we are fans of online arbitrage. So, yes, you could do online arbitrage with 5 or 10K, and you would probably be surprised at how big of a business you can build. And if you don't believe me, go back and listen to some of our past podcast episodes with people like Jeff, people like Saul, people like Jassim. They've built massive businesses doing online arbitrage and Amazon to Amazon flips. But on the other foot, if you really want to get into wholesale, and that's something that, I don't want to deal with, spamming orders on the same site for 2 hours on a Friday night. Then it's probably going to take a lot more calls than you think it's going to take. Doing wholesale is not just I'm going to call up a supplier and they're going to give me an account because I've got the money. No, that's not the way it is. It's a sales game. And in sales, the very first thing is you've got to build a pipeline of leads, and then you've got to qualify those leads, and then you've got to actually sell the leads, and that funnel gets smaller on the way down. So my suggestion is start dialing for dollars. And when someone says no, you say, "Hey, I totally understand. You mind if I ask why you don't want to? You're not interested in working with me?" And then if they say, "Well, we just don't work with Amazon sellers," you say something like, "I totally get that. Do you mind if I follow up in 3 months and see if that has changed?" And then follow up in 3 months. Okay. You will be surprised at how quickly you would be able to get accounts by doing that for 2 to 3 hours every single day for a month. You would have so many accounts, you would not be able to buy from all of them. And then I don't know if you're local here in the States, but if you are, don't only dial for dollars, but also go driving for dollars. Go to the areas in your town where they have flex spaces, where they have warehouses. And if you see something that Google's as some sort of supplier or distributor, go knock on their door and, bring in some coffee, bring in some donuts, and say, "Hey, I happen to be a local retailer and I sell things on the internet. And I'm wondering, what would it take to open an account with you guys? Can we talk about becoming business partners?" That will also really open a lot of doors.
Yeah, coffee, donuts, and I still like the tip that Eli gave us back in the day to have a check with you. Always carry a check in your wallet, and
Yes.
don't be afraid to put it. Be like, "Hey, I got a check right here," because that's if they're commission based, if they're salespeople that you're talking to, if you get front of the house people, that's really hard to say no to money that is inches away, right? But Nisa, it sounds like you, if I'm making an assumption incorrectly, I apologize, but it sounds like you're fairly new. You kind of get the game plan together. the way if from the context of the question. There is something to be said, and Chris, tell me if you disagree, but you got to kind of pick your suck, because it could be hard to deal with suppliers. But if you're trying to figure out whether to put this $5,000 into wholesale or OA, there's difficult stuff about OA too. There's order cancellations. There's anti-reseller places that you want to order from, but you can't. There's frustrations on either side. So make sure you realize that there's a certain amount of that your hit ratio is going to be lower than maybe you expect. Either there's going to be annoyances on both sides. So
yep, I like that. You gotta choose your suck. I really like that. Tony, he did say beaver, like damn, that's a nice beaver. That is I happen to like animal documentaries. They're fascinating.
What do you got against the Biebs? You wouldn't watch a Justin Bieber documentary?
I don't think so.
Okay.
He may be a nice enough guy. I just don't care. Richie, is a generic ASIN an ASIN that is branded under generic, or could it be any ASIN that is still listed with the brand name, but when you click on the storefront, it does an Amazon search instead of a storefront? So for those of you who may not know what he means, oftentimes when you're on an Amazon product detail page, there is the brand name in some blue lettering underneath of all of the underneath the title. And if you click on that, sometimes it will take you to an Amazon search where it searches for the brand name. Other times it will take you to a brand page where there is A+ content or enhanced brand content, whatever Amazon is calling it now. I don't remember. So the listings that take you to a search page are not necessarily generic. No. Those may just not have had enhanced brand content or A+ content brand pages made for them. There are some brands that just don't do that, like MAC Cosmetics. They don't have one. And there are plenty of other brands that they have never done that. And so they're not necessarily generic. But I do like that you're clicking through, because occasionally a brand will show a brand name, and when you click through, generic may pop up into that search bar, and you can get in a little bit of hot water. You get a suspected IP complaint on those if you can even list against them. So good on you for going a little extra mile there.
Tony, that's a great point. He's the most recent comment. He said, calling and asking a place why they're canceling your orders is a great way to back into wholesale accounts.
Yes, it is.
Excellent advice. Because a lot of times, sometimes it's just an automated trigger, which we know that happens. If you had any makeup that Amazon deemed had fertilizer in it or something, with the recent gaps, bots can go wrong, and filters are not 100% accurate. So yeah, that's an excellent point.
Yep. Gina, on Amazon in Canada, it shows multiple starting October 1st. That doesn't surprise me. It's normally colder up there, so October 1st seems about right for the Great Frozen North. Kiki, seems like the FBM. What's that?
That extra 2 weeks in Canada.
Right.
They're always saying stuff's harder in Canada, but you guys get 2 extra weeks of meltables, eh?
Right.
Yeah.
Could you make a basic suggestion for a repricer? Do you immediately set it to match the buy box with a minimum price as a floor? What if you like waiting for sellers to sell out so you can charge higher? So here's my suggestion. My suggestion is you get a repricer where you don't have to choose the rule. All right. I am a big fan and an affiliate for Aura, and a friend of the founders of Aura. All right. you can use their program for $27 a month if you're under 10 grand a month in sales, and you get their AI Maven. It will try to increase the price. Matter of fact, I just made a sale on a product, and the buy box price was $71. Our sale came through at like 74 and some change. Now, could that be because of a regional buy box? Yeah, absolutely. But my repricer is not pricing me at the lowest FBA price, which is exactly what we want. We want every piece of margin we can get out of it. And all I had to do is I had to set my minimum. I set minimums and maximums on everything because I don't want to get a bunch of pricing errors if it reprices too high because everyone's out of stock or I'm out of stock. So I do set my corridors, but all I've got to do is worry about a minimum and a maximum. And then I have a rule for when the inventory gets a little aged and it needs to be taken out to pasture. So we've got the liquidation rule as well.
And Jeffrey, if somebody told you to set it to match the buy box from day one and just set your min, unfollow that person. I was clutching my pearls as you read that comment. That's an old game that good sellers don't have to play anymore. You know, that's an archaic way of going about things. You know, repricers are far more intelligent. Strategies are far more complex and better than, you know, it's that's old school and it's unnecessary anymore.
Yeah, absolutely. Tony, FBA order. Customer says expensive vitamins were damaged in shipping. Who owes Big T his money? Are we talking a safety claim, shipping insurance claim, or Amazon just gives it to me? Amazon should be paying back Big T. That should be on them. It's not a safety claim because safety claims are for merchant fulfilled items. Yeah, Amazon should cover it, and they'll probably file a claim against the shipping company. Do you guys run any people? Yeah.
Well, no, wait, I do. Tony, in the comments, let me know if that's something you do. Do you refer to yourself in the third person all the time, like Ricky Henderson, or was that just for the sake of clarity in your comments? I am curious.
Oxgem, do you guys run any PPC ads on your brand direct products? I am glad that you think we're smart enough to have brand direct accounts. But we're just a couple of primates who bang the keyboard and do online arbitrage and retail arbitrage. So I appreciate the kindness. However, if I were doing brand direct or wholesale, I would be running some PPC. I actually run some cheap PPC even on online arbitrage and retail arbitrage products because it does get you a few extra sales for very, very cheap. Now, I have done a little private label in my time. You know, I should not call it private label. We'll call it white labeling because it was not really brand building when I did it. So there are ways to use PPC to your advantage to be able to find out what keywords Amazon automatically directs towards your listings, and then be able to pull the ones where you're getting conversions and maybe going a little heavier on those, and then doing some negative keywords and things like that. But there is so much to PPC when you're working with a brand that we would do you a disservice of trying to explain all the things, because I mean, I just sound like I know what I'm doing, but in reality, I need to leave that up to the professionals.
Big T, please strike that from the record. I apologize. So you're running out of time. You want to do some rapid fire? Try to get through these. I think we got
let's try to do some. So, Hassan, how long does the price have to stay at its lowest point in the past for you to consider that price for the break-even strategy? So you need to have a rule in place, and for me, it's somewhere between 60 and 90 days. If it's at, if it's not selling, at my minimum ROI and it's getting to be between 60 and 90 days, it's time for me to liquidate. We date our inventory. We do not marry it, and we get rid of it quickly. For the Seller Amp app in settings, should we place in a number for inbound shipping when sourcing? I heard $1.75 for Q4 and $1.50 for other quarters. Now that seems way too high for shipping per pound. Shipping per pound should probably be no more than 80 cents per pound of shipping, and that's probably a little on the high side. But you do need to make sure that you're taking into account any fees for inventory placement if you're using that. Drop shipping or Amazon FBA. There's only one kind of drop shipping that is allowed on the Amazon platform, and that is not from retail sites. So both of these are fine, but you need to do drop shipping the right way. And I can tell you that the margins are usually pretty slim. Let's see here. Do we both hate car salesmen? I've had some car salesmen. I don't hate anybody. However, there are enough bad apples that they give the entire industry a bad name.
Yeah, and I spent a few years as one. The negative references is basically speaking for the generalization. It's I think the only profession that we like and respect less are lawyers. And that's just like a national opinion. They just carry a generalized, stereotypical bad rap.
Yeah. Baseball and hating lawyers is kind of a national pastime in the U.S. Are you all good there in Florida with the hurricane passing this past week? I appreciate you asking. I am in a location that really does not get too much issues. We had a little bit of wind, a little bit of rain, but really nothing here. But some people in Florida were hit pretty bad. But the people in the Western, Carolinas and Tennessee and places up there, they really got the brunt of it. So a friend of mine lost his entire house up there in Tennessee and just washed away. So I feel really bad for those folks. Do you keep separate inventory asset accounts for your bookkeeping or all in one huge inventory account? Just one inventory account. For Aura, do you recommend for us to use Maven to unsuppress the buy box? No, I do not unsuppress the buy box because when I source items that have suppressed buy boxes, I am sourcing them based on what they are selling, what their sales velocity is on a suppressed buy box. I don't expect it to become unsuppressed. Now, there's the rare occasion where I will source something and I will tank the price. Okay. There's actually an item that's actually being checked in, and the price will go from whatever it is now, it's somewhere in the middle teens, down to $9.99. It will unsuppress the buy box. It will increase the velocity of the product, and we'll still make a good profit on this particular item. But in that case, what I do is I actually set a corridor in the minimum and maximum price between like maybe 85 and $9.99. And that's the way that I do that, rather than having Aura try to unsuppress the buy box across my buy box dominion rule with Maven.
And if anybody doesn't know, even though small and light doesn't exist, if you have stuff priced like at 11 and change, jump into a calculator and see what it would go to at $9.99. Small and light doesn't exist. However, that threshold, the fee threshold, does still exist. And there are plenty of times where you actually make more money on $9.99 than you would on $11.50 or something, depending on what the product is.
I see a couple people here saying they're paying $1.50 to $2 a pound. It is possible. The stuff that we typically sell is small and dense. And I think that's where, I don't sell shoes. It's very, very rare. And so I'm never up in that range personally. Recently sent a hazmat FBA shipment. You're given an estimated delivery date that you have to give to Amazon. However, this shipment got delivered 2 days early, and Amazon dinged the account. How to avoid? I don't know. I don't know, unfortunately. I'm not 100% sure if you mean you sent that into FBA or you sent it to a customer. If you send it to a customer, you have to go by the OTDR rules, okay? SSA or shipping setting automations, automatic handling time, and you have to purchase shipping that is OTDR protected through Amazon, which is also through Vico. Those are the only ways to not get dinged, okay? Now we could talk about that a little bit more next week. Chris, I got a little bit of bad news recently, and I wanted to share it with you. Yeah, I've been asking my wife and kids to repeat themselves a lot recently, like more than usual. So I decided to make myself an appointment at the otolaryngologist, ear, eyes, nose, and throat doctor. After the exam, he looked over everything and he told me I've probably only got a few years until I'm probably going to be deaf. That was really hard to hear.
I need to. I'm gonna write that down. Like ear, nose, and throat. That's all it was ever called. And I was like, how does everything else have a name that doesn't really make sense? Like there has to be a name for him. So I'm thank you for putting me onto that. I'm gonna write that down. Corey, go Tigers. They are what a great story they are. But I think I like the Astros getting eliminated a little more. Those cheaters. Go home, bunch of jackasses, including your owners. And I will not apologize to any Astros fans in the audience. Go Yankees.
Absolutely. All right, guys, we got to wrap it up there. I've got another live in 2 minutes. We will see you guys next Wednesday at 5 p.m. and we'll run this thing back. Good selling, everybody.